As you can well imagine, there are a huge number of things you can do with attributes in GIS. And this is not an extensive list. This just gives you some ideas of some of the things that you could do. I'm going to do another one here. And the question that I'm going to pose is I want to find out which census divisions have reserves inside them. So very straightforward question. And I can go and look around here, and obviously I can pick out some visually. Obviously this census division here has at least one reserve. Likewise with this one, likewise with this one. And doesn't look like these two or three have any. And the rest look like they all have them. But it's a little hard to know exactly where the boundaries are relative to the reserve boundaries, because quite often the reserves end up right at the edges of census divisions for whatever reason. So is there a way to do that interactively, and especially if I had a much larger number of things here? And the answer is yes. I can go here to Vector, Research Tools, Select by Location, and this will allow me to use the reserves as an indicator of which census divisions I actually want to select. So I'll select right there, and I want to select census divisions right here and reserves right here. So this is going to allow me to grab all the census divisions which have a reserve cutting right through them, that intersect them. And it's going to create a new selection right here. I'll say OK. And remember when we talked about doing a quick visual estimate, sure enough, those three are the actual only three census divisions that do not have any reserves within them. So kind of an interesting situation here, being able to do that type of query. You can also do other groovy things, like you can go, for example, vector analysis, list unique values. So for example, you have a list of a whole bunch of different things, and you have hundreds of records, and you need to find out all the unique instances of the different things that were in that list. You can then select the vector layer, and I'll select census division, and I can say, for example, census division name, and if I press OK, it's going to go and look at this field, go through every record, and every unique instance is going to list it for me. So I'm going to say OK, and it tells me that there are 19 unique values, and this is the list of all 19 values. In other words, I have 19 areas, and each one has a unique name. If I had 18 right here, that would be cause for concern, because that would mean that I have 19 areas, but 2 of them share an identical name. And that tells me that it's maybe cause for trouble. For example, if I had the reserves, and the reserves told me the First Nation associated with that reserve, I could then do this kind of situation and get a list of all their First Nations in the province. There are some challenges with that, because there are some reserves that are owned or managed by more than one First Nation, but that's some of the unique circumstances that we run into. Other things you can do basic statistics. So if you go to Vector, Analysis Tools, Statistics, Basic Statistics, you select right here the census division, and you can do it just for the selected fields or not. Remember that this is something that happens all the time in GIS right here. And I can say that I want to do the population, and I press OK, and it gives me the mean, the average population for each census division, the standard deviation, the sum, in other words, the total population of the province, the minimum, the smallest population of all the census divisions, and 10,000 people is that one census division in Eastern Alberta that I was talking about. And the largest one here is over 1 million, that would be the Calgary census division, and some other types of values that it calculates for you. So all sorts of things like that, nearest neighbor analysis, etc. So we're going to be looking at some of these later on, but this gives you a sense that there's a lot more here than meets the eye, and there's a lot of power within QGIS here to be able to do all sorts of work with attributes. And remember that you also have the ability to go and get plugins, and we fetch Python plugins as we did before, and it gets a list here, and these are all the different plugins you can actually download. And one of the ones that I have downloaded that way is Table, and it's a table manager, and it allows me to do even more work with attributes. So lots of stuff to be done here with attributes, and luckily QGIS has a lot of flexibility in this area.